Beloved and beautiful actress Goldie Hawn is undoubtedly a comedy legend. But recently she penned an op-ed for USA Today that is no laughing matter. Goldie, who is a known advocate for children struggling with mental health, says our country has failed our children during the COVID-19 pandemic. She also says not enough is being done to help kids cope with what she considers a national trauma. Ladies, what are your thoughts about this?
I absolutely agree with Ms. Hawn. When it initially started, they closed the schools down. There were some schools that, it affected the children because a lot of children, some of them only get their meals from school.
Right.
So we didn't address a lot of things. And I have to give it to the school districts that did try. My friend Monique, who's the teacher, she's at one of those schools where they actually, even though they were closed, they made sure that they had meals for the kids. But the thing that they don't have and still haven't had is proper therapy and explanation of what's happening. And as a nation, we're all so mixed up. One day we wearing masks, the next day we not. It's like, I wish we could, at least for the children, come on one accord for them on the school age level and give them the proper therapy, explain things that's happening, make sure that they understand what this pandemic is, because we're gonna see what's the effects of this years from now.
That's how I feel.
Exactly.
That's how I feel. I feel like there's going to be some kind of psychological effects of COVID-19, being away from your friends, being in the house, and like you said, some kids, that's their only meal. I also feel like kids have so much more stress than we did growing up, right? There's stresses with testing, there's stressing with, mental health, anxiety. There's so many things. I was actually at my kids' basketball game last night, and me and my girlfriend were talking, we're like, the pressures these kids have these days, like we really played. And I feel like we need to have preventable systems to help with those things, to help with kids that are even in abusive families that were home the entire time of COVID-19. So what do we do? So I agree, and I'm so happy someone like Goldie Hawn is sort of ringing the bell and making sure that people are hearing this.
Absolutely. I think it's so important to be very clear on who she feels failed the kids, and I think she's really blaming government funding or the lack of government funding for things that these children really need. Explanations, therapy, having counseling sessions where, or having counselors in the school that they can help these children deal with what they're going through. So I think it's very specific to government funding where she feels that that's where we failed our kids. Because I think a parent could read this, and parents already beat themselves up so much for what's going on right now. I mean, I have conversations with girlfriends of mine that have kids, and they're in tears at the idea of, have I failed my kid? Like, have I done everything correctly? Wow, my kid missed prom, or my child, is my child gonna be socially awkward now that she hasn't seen other kids or played with her friends in 2 years? So I think it's important to recognize that I think parents are doing the best that they can in this situation. We've never experienced a pandemic, but we don't know what to do. We barely know what to do as adults, let alone what to do for these children.
And that's why I'm talking about on a national level. Because the states, every state is doing something different.
You're so right.
Which is so unfair, and we still haven't come together.
No,
as
that's
a
because
country.
the mask has become politicized. Whether if you want to wear a mask or not wear a mask, people feel like it's political. So some people just want to buck against it. And that's where we have that problem that we're not united.
Well, the things that we can individually do, I would say to parents, please, work with your school officials to try to make some type of programming for, post-pandemic care. I would say that. There's things that we're trying to do to make up. For example, for Prairie View A&M University, we didn't have a graduation for the 2020 class. So for 2021, I went and we had a special ceremony for them so that they were able to, walk across the stage. It was belated, but it was, it was a ceremony. So these are the things that Americans are doing. We're trying to make up, but what she is saying is that our government really is not looking at the children, and the children are the future, and that's what's important.
I agree.
Yeah, and while there are parents speaking up, obviously saying, I want my kids to be able to hang out with other kids, the reality is that we are in a pandemic, and the reality is the numbers have spoken, and in the US, hospitalizations of children with Omicron have actually increased by 30%. And guys, over 11.4 million children tested positive for COVID-19 since the onset. And I don't know if you guys know this, but there's also a whole other thing that people are dealing with where after a child has recovered from Omicron, they're now developing this new thing. And although it is rare, it's called multi-system inflammatory syndrome, also known as MISC, sorry. And it's actually a really serious condition that is associated with COVID-19, and these children are getting deathly ill.
Well, I will say this, that we can't blame the schools totally. What she's saying is that that's why I keep stressing it needs to be a national type program. Because some of the schools, like my school that Monique goes to, 25% of the teachers are gone. So they have to, because they had COVID.
Yeah.
So that's
do you get what I'm saying? Like some of it is, some of it absolutely we failed them without the funding, but some of it is the reality of the situation we're in and us genuinely not knowing how to deal with it. Teachers, you know, are not just saying, oh, peace out, I don't want to be around kids.
No, they have COVID.
They have COVID.
They have COVID.
So it's
but
a
that's
really...
why a national plan should have been put in place. Instead of that, right now, I feel like it's deuces. Everybody for themselves. Deuces, do whatever you want to do. Leave it to the states. And different states have different governors that are trying to do different things. And it's going to affect our children. And you're seeing it right now.
Absolutely.